versus the Mavic 2 Pro, a 1-inch sensor versus a Micro Four Thirds sensor, and a fairly significant difference in price. Is it worth it? The short answer is yes. Let's take a look at two raw files taken between the Mavic 2 Pro and the 3 in low light just after sunset, about blue hour. So let's take a quick look at this next sequence of video. I was in a rush. However, I used the same settings with both drones, and let's take a look at the footage afterwards. Okay, so today I'm going to be trying to do a more comprehensive test on the Mavic 3 versus the Mavic 2. I'm already going to go ahead and launch. Get this done as quickly as possible. We are flying in RAW. Actually, we're shooting in RAW. Now I'm going to try and get the histograms to match up and the exposures to match up, because that's what you would be doing in the field, and that's what would matter the most. Settings is, the shutter is 1/80, ISO 800, and aperture of f2.8. Now I'm going to actually bring the exposure down for a second one at a ISO of 400, and that still looks pretty good, although it's getting a little dark. Okay, alrighty, now we're switching over to the Mavic 2 Pro. I'm going to try and mimic the settings at ISO 800, shutter speed 1/80, aperture f2.8, and then another ISO of 400. We are in RAW, correct. So now let's go to our computer and check things out.
So this video is not exactly planned out. I don't really know exactly what it is I'm going to say, so I'm probably going to ramble a little bit here. But in any case, we're looking at the Mavic 2 image here, and let's zoom in to, let's go to 400% right on this house with a red roof. And that's a pretty terrible image. There's a lot of noise, hardly any detail at all. You can see differences in very strong contrasting elements like the red roof in the background, but a lot of things just kind of seem to blend in there. Let's zoom out, jump over to the Mavic 3, zoom in the same area. Yeah, there's a lot more difference in depth there. You can see contrast between the color of the field and the forest a lot easier. You can see the contrast between the roof of the house and the siding of the house a lot easier than you can with the Mavic 2, and also a significantly less noisy image. The image is significantly cleaner, and the color depth, the color tonality, the color contrast of the Mavic 3 it's noticeably better looking at the raw image on my computer here. And I'm not sure how that's going to transfer over to YouTube, thanks to compression and all that mess. But the Mavic 3 image has a lot more color depth to it. And I've done nothing to the color. I've changed nothing that would enhance the color. I haven't messed with the tone curve, nothing in this aspect. So we're looking at two images that are edited the exact same way. Yeah, they are. And yeah, so the question of the year, I guess, is the Mavic 3 worth it? And that's a hard question to answer, because is it worth it to you versus is it worth it to me versus is it worth it to the next guy? That's an individual question. If you're getting paid to take photos, the Mavic 3 is worth it. It's a very compact drone with a 40-minute battery life that takes amazingly great photos for only a few $100s more than the Mavic 2. And I'm not using the Mavic 3 Cine here. I'm using the Mavic 3 Standard. The dynamic range of the Mavic 3 in low light far supersedes the Mavic 2, in my personal opinion. It's worth it if you're getting paid. Now, if you're flying just for fun, and you're flying mostly during daylight when there's a lot of great light, the difference between the Mavic 2 and the Mavic 3 is marginal. You'll see a little bit of difference in color tonality and color contrast and that kind of thing, just because of the difference in the sensor, but otherwise, the difference is more or less negligible. If I pull up two photos, actually, let's take a look at these two photos here. Both of these were taken with the Mavic 2 and the 3, and they're virtually identical next to each other. So the question of is it worth it or not is a personal question. Is it worth it to you? You tell me in the comments. Let me know how you like this video. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Hope this helps you decide on what you're going to buy. Initially, I wasn't going to buy this drone, and I changed my mind. I'm glad I did. And yeah, awesome. See you in the next one.